all their infinite wisdom, decided to put a 4-cylinder motor in here, but they also decided to give us some cool features. So if you go to track mode, and then you go to track apps, and you go to line lock, you put your foot hard on the brake, and you hold down the button, initialization complete, engage, press OK to begin. Check out this feature. So you gotta pull this handle, which is okay. Then when you roll your windows up, but don't worry, I mean, you can manually grab the windows and get them into the right spot. That way you kind of have a door seal. This doesn't seal right here. Trash. What's up, y'all? This week we are testing out a 2020 Mustang EcoBoost Premium, meaning it's got AC seats. The interior is still very chintzy and plasticky, and if you can hear the wind noise, you know it's a freaking convertible. I hate convertibles, especially if you gotta drive the highway with them at 80 miles an hour. This convertible particularly bad, I'll show you later, but if you don't manually grab the windows and yank them into the right positions, it has over a 1-inch gap right here between where the two windows come together, which is just hysterical. But you know, in true Ford fashion, it is cheap, it is kind of quick, but man, the interior is just freaking terrible. The design of the convertible roof is so far behind the 2 Series I had before. Definitely would never buy a convertible Mustang in a million years, but it's got all these switches down here. So what's interesting is that for 2020, the EcoBoost 4-cylinder gets things like line lock, which is awesome. If you go to track apps, you'll see it's got line lock. Obviously you can't use it unless you're in track mode and not moving, but it's got all the acceleration timers, 0 to 60 stuff. We got a draggy, you don't really need that, but it's got all the goodies. It's got this bubble thing. Now this screen on a 2020 Premium is still light years behind the 2016 Camaro I had. Ford just doesn't get interiors. I don't know what the problem is. This is the 55-year edition, apparently. The dash has a ton of rattles in it. Wind noise is terrible. It shakes really bad, but I'm pretty sure it's just a rental car, so tires aren't balanced right. This one has 23,540 miles on it, and it feels like it has 200,000 because it's a Ford. That's the same little light switch cluster out of my truck and the Ranger. You know, Ford uses the same stuff everywhere. Really cheapy crap. But I will say this 2.3 liter EcoBoost is a big improvement on the V6 in my opinion. I just did a couple of ground speed runs because it says ground speed for no apparent reason, and I don't know what other speed it would have. I guess it can fly. Anyways, it pulls pretty hard up to 120 miles an hour for a little 4-cylinder motor. We haven't done a 0 to 60 pull yet, but we'll do some 0 to 60 pull in quarter miles and get those added into the video at some point. It's automatic, obviously, got paddle shifters, obviously, 10-speed, obviously, which I used to love until my F-150's 10-speed died. Wait till you guys hear about that shit. Anyways, yep, so as far as compared to my Camaro, the convertible doesn't have as good of visibility as the regular one. You kind of stare at this all the time, but it is still better than my Camaro, and there is a little bit more rear legroom, and with the convertible top down, obviously there's plenty of headroom, at least in the back. My head almost hits this thing. But we're gonna do some donuts with it and take it over some jumps, and I'm not gonna miss it. This car has the worst wind noises of any convertible I've ever driven. It's not that fast. It should be quicker for the power it has and stuff. I'm really starting to not like this 10-speed transmission in the Fords. It shifts extremely hard and violently, and just not getting the kind of performance I expected out of this little car. I read a lot of good reviews about it, so I wanted to test it. But efficiency, I got 22.5 miles per gallon, and that wasn't just me, that's what this car had gotten on the previous trip, which was a couple thousand miles. So it's not terribly efficient, and it's not that fast. I would definitely get a GT, not this little wannabe GT. It should be faster for its efficiency. Handling is good, but the interior's got a lot of rattles and stuff. Infotainment's kind of clunky. It's not as good as a lot of the other ones that have Android Auto and stuff like that. It is fun to drive, but not fun to commute with, put it that way. It handles good in turns and stuff like that. It's got a good center of gravity, weight distribution, whatever, but leaves something to be desired.
fuck up the transmission. I think 10 0 60 pulls was enough to break this transmission.